I'm Bo and this is Bo's Books. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. This is going to be my BookTube newbie tag videos where I get to introduce myself to you so that you get to know a little bit more about me. So I'm just going to use the BookTube newbie tag questions that I found on some other people's videos. I'm going to do my best to give you just a little bit of insight on what to expect from my channel moving forward. Which leads me to the first question on the list. Why did you start this channel? Long story short, the reason why I wanted to start this channel was actually to become part of the book community that I didn't know existed before the end of last year. So I got back into reading November of 2024. When I stopped reading, because I am the main character of my own story, I just thought the rest of the world also stopped reading books. I was delusional. When I found out there was so many people that were in love with books and reading, I was genuinely shocked. I didn't know people loved books as much as I did, or even more than I do. So when I started reading again and discovered that there was a whole community of people that posted on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube to the point where it was called Book Talk and Bookstagram and BookTube, I didn't know that this was an entire subculture. And when I found out that this very isolating hobby that I had actually could bring forth a social aspect because there was such a huge community that I could be a part of, I was stoked. I was so excited that I made a point to start a Bookstagram January of 2025. So I was like, I'm just gonna start posting my reading journey on there and see what comes of it. I had no clue that the book community was so welcoming. We were commenting and building relationships, and I've already made like bookish friends. Who knew that a hobby where you just sit and read a book by yourself could be so inclusive? The more that I discover about the book community, the more I want to be a part of it. I really fell in love with people's TBR games, and I was just like obsessed with watching that, and I still am. That's my favorite thing to watch on BookTube is people's TBR games every month. I love games and I love reading, so combining my two favorite hobbies is awesome to me. And because I was so excited about it, I just wanted to be a part of it. So I was like, I need to create a BookTube so that I can also get to know people and people can get to know me. It's kind of hard to connect with other people in your own life unless they're reading the exact same books as you. So in joining a larger community of people, you can kind of, outreach to other people who have read the same books as you or want to read the same books as you and just talk about it because you're both just nerds. Question number 2, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? I was so inspired by watching everybody else's TBR game that I was immediately drawn to wanting to create my own. I wanted to play everybody else's, but then a part of me was wanting to personalize it for myself and make the prompts fit what I wanted to read. So I was inspired by everybody else's games, and I took from that, and then I also took from a game that I really like. It's called Final Girl. It's a horror solo adventure board game by Bandwriter Games. I love horror movies, and so the concept of being a final girl and escaping these iconic horror movie villains is such a fun theme to me. So I haven't really seen a lot of TBR games that are focused around horror or the horror genre, and horror is not the only genre I read, but my tastes do lean on the darker side. I wanted to create a game that embodied more of my taste into it, something that expressed my interests a little bit more than some of the games that are out there. I'm gonna make a whole TBR game video. That's just like a sneak preview into what to expect from me. What are you most excited for about this channel? The other thing that I'm really excited about is just to get to know more people in the community. I'm hoping that my videos will resonate with other people that might be feeling a little bit isolated in their hobby and let you know that there are other people out there that might be into the same books as you, that maybe we have the same opinions, or maybe we have different opinions, that we can just discuss things and I don't know, maybe even debate a few things. The only thing I don't want, and the only thing I'm not excited about, is any kind of negativity in the comments. That's definitely not what I'm here for. Question number 4, why do you love reading? I read for enjoyment, I read for escape, I read for catharsis, I read for community. There's so many reasons why I love reading, but I think the biggest one honestly is escape. It also helps me to have empathy for other people. I feel like it educates me on people's different perspectives. It's also awesome when you read something where you're like, that is exactly what I feel, and I couldn't have put that into words better myself. I love to jump into another person's shoes and live an entirely different reality. And just when I read, I see it in my mind like a movie, and I feel like it just plays out in my head, and I can just watch this entire film basically in my head while I'm reading, especially because I'm an immersive reader and I listen to the audiobooks a lot of the times while I'm reading. So I'm like fully immersed when I read a book. Even a horror book helps me to escape the true horrors that are going on in the world. Number 5, when did you start reading? I can remember loving books when I was a kid, like If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, or Green Eggs and Ham, The Hungry Caterpillar. As I grew a little bit older, I remember all the like middle grade books I used to read, like Amelia Bedelia, Amelia's Notebook, a lot of Amelia's apparently. I was in love with Alice in Wonderland and Peter Pan, Goosebumps. You can see like I have a bunch of Goosebumps that I've collected now as an adult because, millennials and their nostalgia, we're just grasping at all the things that we loved as children. I'm trying to like relive my childhood essentially as we do, which kind of goes into what book or series got you into reading. And that's so hard for me to remember because I was so young when I started reading and started falling in love with reading. One that really stands out for me is Goosebumps as a series, and I think because I thought it was so cool that they were like spooky books. My first introductions to the horror genre in writing, as well as the TV show. I was like in love with the TV show, and honestly I think I watched more of the TV show than the books. I only had a couple of the Goosebumps books, which is why I've been collecting them now as an adult, because as a kid I wanted to read the entire series. Number 7, what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers for like a behind the scenes of how they make their content? Because I feel like creating content is so difficult, but a lot of my favorite booktubers make it look so effortless and everything is just so perfectly curated that I'm just like, how do you do that? How do you use a script? What does your lighting look like? What does your setup look like? Are you using your phone? Are you using a camera? Like, what is the behind the scenes of your whole setup? I'd also want to know what kept you motivated to keep going in the beginning. It's easy to look at big booktubers now and be like, oh my god, they have like thousands of followers and everything's so perfect, but you got to think like everybody started somewhere, and it probably took some people a really long time to build that kind of following. I would want to ask them, how long did it take before you gained traction? How long it took for you to feel like you had the hang of things? Where did your motivation come from? What kept you from giving up? Did you ever feel like you wanted to just give up, like there was no point? What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? I feel personally that motivation to keep going is going to be a hard challenge, because I feel like in the beginning of all of my hobbies, I always have a lot of momentum because I'm so excited to like do something new. But along the way, I start to lose my enthusiasm for different hobbies. I feel like a lot of the times when you're creating content, it becomes like a numbers game, and you start to look at, oh my god, how many people viewed my video? How many likes did I get? Did people comment? Do people even care what I'm talking about? I think a challenge for me is going to be not losing heart and to just keep reminding myself that I'm here to do something fun, and that I'm here to build a connection with the people that want to be here. If I can resonate with even just a few people, that will be mission accomplished, and I have to keep reminding myself to not compare myself to other people. I think that's really hard when it comes to creating content, is just the comparison game. But another challenge that I feel like I'm gonna have is being confident enough to keep creating videos and not feeling like I'm embarrassed, because a lot of the times I don't even want to record unless I'm like completely alone in the house, which is crazy because I live with 3 other people. So if they're home or they're in the other room, like I am so like mortified. I start thinking all these bad things about myself, like, oh my god, this is cringy, or this is embarrassing, or why are you doing this? Nobody's gonna want to listen to you. What are you even doing? I don't know. I just want to do this. I think it's fun because it's good to have a creative outlet. And I'm the kind of person that like starts a million different hobbies. I just get really excited to do different things. So if you can leave me a comment of encouragement, I'd really appreciate it. I appreciate you watching if you've even made it this far. I know this is a very universal feeling, especially for people starting a YouTube channel or starting to put themselves out there in a, in a creative way. And putting yourself out there in front of other people is not easy. So I know that I'm not alone in feeling these things. Number 9, where do you read? Being that I don't like to leave my house very often, I just read at home. I'm either on the couch or on my bed reading. So I mean, that's a pretty straightforward answer for me. I would love to try going to the library and reading like I used to do when I was a kid, but I have yet to venture out to do that. But maybe I should put that on my goals of things to do soon, just to try it, see if I like it, Oh, I did recently go read at the park. I went with my husband to the park and we took a blanket for the floor and some snacks, and we just took our books and read out in nature. I didn't like all the bugs that really killed the vibe, but other than that, it was really cute and serene, and that was actually really enjoyable. But most of the time I just read in my house because I'm a homebody. And for my final question number 10, what kind of books do you like to read? I like to read all kinds of books. I don't have a specific genre that I read all the time. I think the books that I've been gravitating more towards recently are horror and literary fiction or magical realism, that kind of vibe. I think lately I've been struggling with wanting to pick up fantasy because they're so long and filled with so much world building. So it takes me a long time to like get to know the world and the characters, and as exciting as that is, getting into a fantasy book, sometimes it's very, very daunting to me. Right now in my reading journey, I want to read so many different books that I don't really have the energy and mental capacity to like really put my heart and soul into a fantasy series, because I don't want to get stuck on just that right now. So I've been just trying to read a lot shorter books. I'm re-entering my reading era, so I am just on a book exploration. I'm trying to find what I like, what I don't like. This is my book journey and it's barely starting. I am like sweating, so I'm just gonna wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.